young people in America and elsewhere are much more hostile to Israel and much more comfortable with, let's just say, anti-Semitic rhetoric. I don't think they're all anti-Semites, but there is this, and I wrote about this week, there's this real problem that multicultural thinking has when it comes to Jews. This whole settler colonialism theory stuff, which I don't have a huge amount of time for, at least not in this context. I think it's sort of interesting as an intellectual exercise to talk about it and to poke holes at it and to see where it stands up and where it doesn't. But there is this, broadly speaking, this idea that hating Israel or having problems with Jews everywhere because Jews support, it is presumed, even though there are a lot of Jews who are very hostile to Israel, both from the sort of crazy religious side and from the sort of secular, code pink kind of side. But there's this general assumption that if you're Jewish, you support Israel, and if you support Israel, you're a monster, or you're in favor of settler colonialism or whatever. And this presupposition gives sort of permission for kids of, for Muslim kids of Middle Eastern background, Arabic, ethnically Arabic or whatever background, that it's just something that people like that do is dislike Israel, or even dislike Jews who support Israel. And I'm not talking about this as being analytically true or objectively true or factually true. I mean, obviously, statistically, more likely than not, there's some truth to it. My point is that it is seen as sort of being as a sign of cultural tolerance and acceptance to make allowances for people who say bigoted things about Jews and Israel in ways that you would never make exceptions for almost any other group, right? I mean, it is unacceptable in your sort of typical, campus pod left-wing thing to say anything derogatory about black people, about gay people, about transgender people, about Hispanic people. But you can get away with saying stuff and sometimes even acting on it about Jews, in part because it is a sign of solidarity with the authentic people of the region who, as part of their identity, allegedly or presumptively, don't like Jews. And so it's this weird importation of a kind of intellectual bigotry or ethnic bigotry into the paradigm of identity politics, right? I mean, like, identity politics says that, makes allowances, and so does just good manners, right? But like makes allowances for a Muslim kid to bow towards Mecca 5 times a day on campus, or to wash their hands and feet before they go into a building, or whatever. There's all sorts of things that are part of, strict Islamic rights and tradition and rules that you make allowances for in the spirit of diversity, right? You make allowances for people to wear, for women to cover their heads or more, according to the precepts of their version of Islam, whatever. And smuggled in with this, it seems to me, is this idea that it's okay for Palestinian kids or Middle Eastern kids or Muslim kids to say absolutely horrific things about Israel, about Jews, in ways that you would never be allowed to say, that a Jewish kid never, or just anyone else would be allowed to say about, say, Palestinians or Arabs or Muslims. And it reminds me, I've written about it a billion times now, but one of my favorite anecdotes in British history is of, I think his name was Charles Napier, Napier, who was like a colonial military governor in India during the Raj. And when he was there, he was told that he could not outlaw wife burning because, or widow burning, because there was a real tradition in India and a history of it in India. And Napier said, no, I get it entirely that you have a rich tradition of doing this. It's just that in England, we have a rich tradition of hanging people who burn women alive. So, let's do this. Let's just, we'll put the gallows up side by side, right? And there's this, but there's this tendency to think it's this sort of soft bigotry of low expectations that it's that because Palestinians or Arabs have real or alleged historical grievances, that they are allowed to express ideas and insults and offenses in ways that other groups aren't, because it's part of who they are, right? It's like they wear a headscarf and they say bad things about Zionists. And, who are we to sort of police one but not the other?